I have a different sort of tuning method I use sometimes when I can't really get ahead to tune just right. These drums are extremely resonant. So they have so many overtones and complexities to them that make them pretty difficult to tune sometimes. So what I've learned to do isn't necessarily the standard. Some people hit them out here, other people hit them in here. Or you can tap, and that'll give you a sense through your finger what the tension of the head is right there. Or you can feel the rebound if you're really sensitive. And that'll give you a good idea where this part of the rim is off. So, what I do is I will hit in between the lugs. And that kind of allows you to triangulate which lug is off around the greater section of the rim. So if you hit, say, this one, this side's a little higher, this side's a little lower, this side's a little lower, this side's a little higher. So obviously this lug isn't too high, and this lug is going to be in the middle. This one's going to be the low middle, and this one's going to be the low one. So you can tighten that and retest it, and then you test these two. See? And now this one then would be too low. And this one is a little tight. And I can feel it through the lug itself. See? And I haven't been able to get a consistent tune just with these. As you hear all that overtone that these drums have, it is not quite a ringing sound. It's a lot of dynamics from the shell. So then another good way too is to do both of it. So and then hit in between. So this one would be too high. No. Just tighten it, loosen it a little bit. Perfect. But now that side's a little tight. So what's going on over here? Now we gotta do the bottom. Okay. Now I've found 30 different ways of tuning these bottom heads. There's so many options. Let me get my other. There's a lot of physics involved here because of the snare bed. This dips down, and that allows you to sort of manipulate this area right here with this and the tension of it. And based on how you do the tension of this, the center of the hairs, these two lugs, and then these 4 lugs, since this is a 10 lug drum, really gives me a lot of options. So these 4, these are more like a framework, but they really don't do anything to manipulate the head or the snare wire. You can tension these tighter, which creates a pull through the center, and that acts with the snare to create a nice tighter sizzle. While you can loosen these to allow this to compress down, and you can even do one side too. This side tighter, that side tighter than the bottom ones. And what that does is allows half of the springs to have different tensions on the head itself based on how this activates these. So these will have the same tension across, but how the drum head activates the snare wires is a differential to more of a tighter sizzle to a looser, and that can give you a nice and it won't give you much of a buzzing sound like some loose snare wires give you just a consistent buzzing snare sound. And so I haven't really found a favorite way of tuning this. All I've known now is that every time I jam to my iPod and I played other music, I'm having to really retune my snare to different bands and music because the overtones that this drum creates goes through my headphones and it annoys the crap out of me. I've found that the basic tension of the head to the top allows you to set your main pitch with these 10 lugs, that then loosening these will allow the snare wire to bed into a more consistent tension. So what is pulling on here versus the length of the spring of the snare wire and this tension as well gives you your strong dynamic to give you an overall activation from the top to be consistently activated throughout the length of the wire, because the length of the spring alters its tension. That's why the center wants to resonate more than this. This is seated to a solid substance which has a consistent application of force through this band, and this ain't gonna want to resonate as well as that. So that is the reason why you do this all to this. To get a nice open sound. And I'm not going to demonstrate. It would take me an hour video. It's only taking me 10 minutes just to explain this, so it'd take me a whole hour just to show all the different things that you can really do with a 10 lug snare. But that's the basic gist of it. So how you alter the center tension, these can really pull a clean line through here, and that I found is less desirable to me as compared to a nice balance for those three, these three, and then offsetting those to the snares tension here and how it presses into the head can give you a really thick snare sound. Or, and I'm not talking about the snare drum, the snare sound. It gives you a nice thick like pooh sound of it, because you're activating the entire snare wire. rather than seating these and letting the centers vibrate. So there's a lot of physics. It is really cool, the system and what it allows you to do, as opposed to the Rogers drum, which I like being able to hit around the outside of the drum and get a dynamic. It's fun to play with, rather than just having the same sound no matter where you hit the drum head. You know, for recording purposes, that's good. But it's a nice natural snare. There's no metallic shell tone to it, and you can see the spruce. If anybody's interested in that sort of thing, like I am, it's the weirdest thing you've ever seen in your life. Never seen a drum like this before, that's for sure. Yeah, I when I got these, I realized just how many options spruce can give you in drum shells, because that grain right there is going to just alter how the shell resonates and flexes and compresses, and why these are set up like that, and how this applies force and tension to the center of the shell to allow the center of the shell to either restrict motion or to activate more. And I truly love the dynamics. It's just I don't have any options to really use them all. I mean, where am I gonna get to use it in an applicable manner, since musicians don't seem to be that diversified? Really like some clear drum heads so I can see the spruce. But let's see how it sounds. Lovely. Nice decay on the snare wires from loosening them a little bit. And, well, I like that. A lot of people don't. They want it to be just tight, on and off. There's some things I want to try with gaskets to try and get rid of that kilohertz ring that they can get and other tunings, which I think comes from the shell, not the shell, the rim of the drum head, which I wanted to call the shell. And then, because that's metal, you know, see this? It's metal that touches this. And I believe that's where the ringing's coming from, the high-pitched kilohertz ringing that you can hear. And well, that's how you tune a 10-lug drum. There's just too many options. The 8 lugs are a lot simpler, so you don't really need to do that method I was demonstrating. It's not, you know, because 1 lug to more surface area. Well, this drum head will flex more, or I mean the rim will flex more, keeping it a little bit more difficult to do consistently, especially with these micro threaded lugs. The micro threads you'll tune it like a quarter of a tune, and you're used to that going up considerably on a normal drum. With these, it'll just apply a little bit more force to that, and you think it evens it out, but it doesn't go as much in a tone to the tension of the head as you would be used to.